Welcome to Coffee Date with Spirit. Grab your favorite mug and get cozy while your hosts, Kristen Forno and Amy Potter, two maybe not so ordinary mystics, chat about the extraordinary magic that can happen when you invite spirit into your life.
Welcome, everybody.
Hi, hi, hi.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. Do you want to ground right away? Because I am so flighty,
Yeah,
especially after
let's,
seeing your amazing glasses and talking
yeah.
about that. So great.
Yeah, when Kristen and I were chatting before we officially started recording, I got new glasses and I Google searched rhinestone sparkly readers. And so indeed, I found a pair of rhinestone sparkly readers. And I was like, it's the type of thing that I looked at, I was like, oh yeah, I have to have those. Those are so Amy, like anything glitter and sparkly. I'm like, I need them.
Mhm.
And I put them on. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, these are really Amy. And I'm 98% sure that when I look at myself in them, I'm gonna like cringe and go like, oh, what were you thinking? So
No.
I am part of my inner work is this self-acceptance piece. I think a lot of us
Yeah.
with that. And I love them. So I just need to have the courage to actually wear them with confidence and say, like, yeah,
Yes.
they're pretty fun and playful, which is what I wanted them to be.
And
So
it's who you are, and they look
yeah,
wonderful.
let's ground.
Okay, how about you
Um,
start today? Would you do that?
sure. Yeah.
I love that. I would love it. Or
Okay.
you do it because I'm giggly.
Yeah. I cleaned my office yesterday, which was in desperate need of reorganization and vacuuming. And I put my earthing mat down under my feet.
Mm,
So it's right under my desk. So I don't know if any of
great
you all
idea.
use earthing mats. When I first started using them, I put it at my feet in bed. And I've gotten trampled by a horse and I have really flat feet. So I have chronic ankle issues. And like they're always stiff and kind of painful. And the first morning that I got out of bed when I used this mat, like I always like you anticipate because you know what it's going to feel like. So I'm walking downstairs and I always brace myself a little bit. So I took
Huh.
one step and I was like, "Huh?" And then another step and I was like, I just walked down the stairs first thing in the morning with total ease. So,
Wow.
yeah, and I haven't been using it lately, so I spend a lot of time in my office at this desk doing sessions and stuff. So, I put it there. It's the original earthing mat and the book's really fascinating that goes with it. So, my client
Hmm.
just came and tried. I have an extra one to loan out and she was like, "This is amazing." And she got the sheet set. So, anyway,
Wow. A
like that's
sheet
just
set.
a little tool that I use to stay grounded. And I think that quote unquote science about it is that the ions and the electromagnetic frequency of the earth really helps clear the body of inflammation. So it's
Hmm.
pretty amazing. So I invite you to kick off your shoes and anybody listening who's in a cozy place with us and just to kick off the shoes and feel your feet on the floor. Whew. And even just doing this, it invites a nice big deep breath. So I like to inhale through my nose and exhale through the mouth. Ah, and you can even make some noise there. Oh, when you that hum noise, I can feel it. It starts at my tailbone and really just resonates and sends that vibration up through the body. So again, to the nose and exhale. Ah. And it's pretty cool. So wherever you're holding tension, like this time I actually noticed that vibration in my shoulders. So we'll do a third one in through the nose. Hold and exhale. Ha. There you go. And then just returning to a normal, easy breath and drawing your awareness to your heart center. Sometimes I put my hands over my heart, especially when I'm feeling any of the harder emotions. If I'm really anxious or I have some grief coming up, just holding myself in my heart and feeling that energy exchange between the heart and the hands. Our hands are actually an extension of our heart chakra. And I'm just feeling my body start to slowly sway. Letting yourself drop into your body, this home, our clay home, as John O'Donohue says. And starting to sense into this energy of the heart. And with each breath, imagine or feel this energy of love expanding and retracting in your body. Feel the love that your hands are giving to you, to your heart, and this energy of your heart and its electromagnetic frequency radiating into your hands. So this is just this beautiful cycle of energy in and out. Beautiful. And from here, I invite in our guides, starting with the angels, to surround us with their light and their love and their wisdom and their protection, surrounding us in this 360 orb of beautiful golden and white light that goes deep into the earth and extends way up into the cosmos. And into the sphere of light, I invite in our spirit guides, animal, mineral, plant, the fairy guides. I invite in the ascended masters and gurus who want to join us in this work with their hearts and their wisdom and their guidance. I invite in the elements, water, fire, air, and earth. I invite in our ancestors, our healed, wise, loving, kind ancestors to step into this light, to bless our work and to help heal our line, both going back and going forward. I ask all these guides to hold us in their love and to bless our work. And Kristen, do you want to add anything?
That's so beautiful, Amy. And I just want to take a moment and honor you in your words, in your open heart. And for all those who are receiving this message with us, and this love and support and guidance, who are here now, who are coming to us, that you feel the exquisite love that's just radiating in this moment. Aho.
And then bringing your palms together. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ah, that was so beautiful. It's a beautiful way to start. I just had this green pulsing
Oh,
light and this exchange with my hand and my heart going on, so powerful. And but then this just green pulsing light. It's just I just feel wrapped up.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you want to pick some cards?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually brought my Doreen Virtue Angel deck because this is still so new. I love it with our little wings as
Oh
we
my
can
gosh,
see.
it's so great. I love all
I
those
just
synchronicities.
these little signs in life that are so you could just miss them, but they're so fun
Yeah.
if you have the opportunity to see them. If they catch your eye, it just helps you remember how magic life is.
Okay.
Okay, well, with that, let's read an angel card. I'm gonna just do one last shuffle. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Normally I would split the deck, but I'm not. I'm just gonna take off the top because that's what I'm hearing. One off the top. Focus.
So that was so funny, Kristen. As you're pulling your card, I was like, I think I'd like to frame this reading by focusing this energy on our topic today, which
I
rituals
love it.
for the full moon. So
Yes,
yeah, so that's
perfect. There you go.
yeah.
So here it says the card meaning, think about what you want, not what you don't want. Guard your thoughts carefully because they create your experiences. The angel is holding, it looks like 5 roses that are almost in a wreath shape.
Mm,
It could almost go on her head. Okay, so here's the reading. Sometimes it seems that our thoughts choose us, but this is never the case. We always choose our thoughts every moment. Our thoughts have an effect, and there are no neutral thoughts. 1/2 second before you hold a thought, you decide to hold it. So, with practice, you can learn to monitor and alter your thoughts. This is the equivalent of putting your hands on the steering wheel of your life. You may believe that your concentration abilities are impaired, yet the infallible mind of God is within your own mind. You can experience remarkable feats of concentration by affirming, I am now able to focus my mind at will. I will only hold loving thoughts, and my angels act as my gatekeepers in establishing a steady stream of thoughts of love. What's interesting about this to me is I've all like forever I've been on the positive thought brigade, in general since I was little. So I've I like grew up with this always take the higher thought, like don't fall down into this trap. This notion of only think about what you want.
yeah.
If you're always in a position of thinking about the things you don't want, you just remain in that state and it's
Right.
a lack state and it's like so dismal. And when you have a choice to just think about what you do want, like why wouldn't you take it?
Yeah.
So if you can remember, that's always the challenge. So this is a great invitation to say, I want to focus on
Yeah.
my positive outcomes and the
Yeah.
angels will come to you. I love that.
Absolutely. Right. And I actually think it's a very appropriate card for working with ritual. So ritual is
Yes.
all about focusing energy. Yeah. So it's multi-layered.
So it's a
Uncomfortable.
great entree into our
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
We were talking about ritual at first as like some rituals we could share. And then I received a message that someone asked me, do you have any good ideas or woo-woo stuff for the full moon? And we thought, yes, perfect. Bring it
Like
into specific full moon
talk
rituals.
about, yeah, synchronicities. I mean, it was happening in real time. It's text. What do you want to talk about tomorrow when we record? I think ritual, and then talk about a spirit message is getting the text from your friend saying, can you give us some guidance on how to work with the full moon? And
Yes.
um, and I got very
Yes.
excited about that topic because I love the full moon. I mean, despite getting like mildly cuckoo, there's some reality to the full moon creepiness
The
often.
werewolf
Yeah.
mysticism.
Like I
Hmm.
can't sleep around the full moon. Like the light, it's just the energy is so intense. This magnifying energy is so intense around the full moon that I get like fairly restless, particularly at night. Like during the day, I don't really notice it, but then at night, my body's like, I should be outside enjoying this full moon. Also, full moon ritual particularly has been on my mind recently because it's very common to work with the full moon in this way. The full moon is about releasing because we go from the full moon to the waning moon. And so I follow a lot of healers and I'm like, oh, I'm so creative that repetition for me is gets a little mundane. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to do
Funny.
another releasing ceremony. I'm like, I've been there, done that. I mean, I get it. We always have stuff to release, but
I love this. This is a great conversation. I
yeah.
love this.
So I was
Huh.
like, oh, this is annoying for me, even though these people that I follow and are my teachers are powerful and profound, and I love their work, and I would do it over and over again. But it's my own personal like with it. So I've been actually exploring or thinking about other ways to really use this full moon energy because it is this intense magnification and this like beautiful light. So yeah, I'm
Hmm.
gonna stop rambling, but that's my I warned you that I had a rant about the full
No,
moon.
it's good. It's actually, I love to hear that because I come at it from a completely different angle.
Yeah.
And like for me, I can get so bogged down in the details of life. And so what I love about the moon is I can look up and I given an immediate understanding of where I am in a cycle,
Wow.
and I have the opportunity to anchor into that because I'm
Mhm.
so disconnected
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and I think we all go through times like that. So I would agree with you definitely on, like, ritual can become boring. If you're like, when you have a creative edge and you have like so much just streaming through you at all times, it's your opportunity to just make it what you want it to be. And for people like me, it's like I need the anchor and then I need ideas. And however, I still find that the routine
Mhm.
helps bring me home, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yes, for sure. And
Yeah.
seeing a full moon rise on the horizon never,
Ugh,
ever gets old. And I
never.
will gasp and like slam on the brakes,
Yes.
pull over on the side of the road just to watch the full moon rise. And there is this element of clarity that's standing under a full moon when it's high in the sky on a clear, dark night that
Yeah.
gives you this sense of perspective and this sense of clarity and illumination and connection.
Yeah.
And like, and you can feel the ancients and the ancient practice
Yes.
of that
Yes.
connection in that
Yeah.
and I remember when I was young and I was living in New Hampshire and I lived very close to this gorgeous lake and I would walk out there and the full moon and it was the first time, and it's no profound thought, but it was the first time that I looked up at the moon and I went, wow, this is the same moon that everybody else sees and that everybody else has seen and will see, like, moving forward. And there was just this expansive,
Wow. I love that.
like,
Yes. Yes.
or the infinite of it
Yeah.
when you look at the moon. So
I
don't
love
get me
that.
wrong, I love working with the full moon.
Yes. Yes. No,
I just
absolutely. I understood that. So let's talk a little bit about our own rituals, maybe
I
start
think
with.
let's keep it personal and let's
Okay.
share our own experiences and our own rituals and maybe some of the favorite rituals that you've experienced in the past. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start?
No, I want you to start.
Okay.
I'm
So I would say, well, like, just to take put some perspective around this. When I was younger, I didn't do anything around the full moon. I knew it was a
Mhm.
full moon, would stop and look, loved it. Yay. Never contemplated moon cycles, never really understood how my own personal cycle matched to a moon cycle, had no
Right.
concept of the
Yeah.
feminine connection. But I
Yeah.
always loved the moon. I love being in moonlight. I love being outside.
Me too.
My favorite moons when I was younger were over the ocean. Like,
Oh, I was gonna say I lived
oh,
by the
always.
ocean and looking at the moon on the ocean,
Yeah.
and yeah, like last night when I was thinking about our topic, it immediately made me think of this book, The Great Cosmic Mother, and like
Huh.
everybody should read it. It is such a, I mean, it's a tome, but it's so big. It's just big in spirit and content, and it's amazing. So but I was thinking
Written
about
down.
that connection. It made me think about the connection of the moon and the ocean as this great cosmic mother out of which all life was born, you know? So, and then our wombs as this connection to the ocean and like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Yeah. So
yeah,
intertwined, having grown up in New Jersey, Connecticut, spent time in Boston, like, mostly like, not on the ocean.
yeah,
And then coming down here to South Carolina in my 40s and being on the ocean and being able to experience the full moon anytime I want at the
right,
ocean,
right.
I do feel that there's something much more profound about the experience with the water,
Oh,
with
yeah,
the vast, and it is that I do think it's that connection to feminine, that
yeah.
womb feeling. It's so incredible to me. So, I've always enjoyed it. And then I think it's not been that long that I've been doing rituals around it.
Mhm.
I would say it's probably within the last 8 years or so, or
Okay.
maybe even 5. And what prompted that? I think it was just like someone who showed a picture on social media of her crystals out in the moonlight. And I was
Mm,
like, what's that about? Because I have a ton of crystals, and like, why is she putting crystals in the moonlight? It's like to cleanse your crystals. You
right,
like put
right.
them under, and I
Charge
was like,
them.
I'm just gonna throw mine outside open. I put them under the moonlight. I'm like, charge them up, whatever that
Yeah,
means. Like, I had no sense of
yeah.
it. And so I started doing that though, like every full
Mm,
moon, just for fun. And whether sometimes I can't find all my crystals, sometimes I just have one, sometimes I don't feel like doing it. And, so I wouldn't say I'm like overly consistent. But then I had gotten into this business that created these water bottles out of this blue glass that
mm,
imparts frequency into the water when you put them in sunlight or moonlight.
uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, I have a blue bottle with like some, abundance is one of them. It's
Oh,
a car, it's etched in. So there's a prayer going into the glass.
oh,
I have it over
wow.
here. I'll bring it over. And then I have two of them. So I have these intention bottles, and I'm like, oh, these are perfect. And I put them out there, and I open the jug, and then I use the water to fill all my little altars. Like I have water on every altar to represent
Hmm.
the four elements there. Then I added water, journaling,
Mm, yeah.
typically,
Yep.
what I release, I release, I release. So journaling became writing a prayer
Oh,
instead.
yeah.
And what was really beautiful about meeting Jane is we began writing prayers together. We would start one in notes file, and she would write, and then I would write, and we would edit
Wow.
and fix, and then we would each have it, and we would each read it and say it under the moon. And so it became like a living prayer, which was beautiful. And I
That's
love it.
really special. That's really
And I have some of them. I might share one after, might do that.
okay.
And then what was the other thing? Oh, I love so those are like the core things. Crystals, water, and a prayer. Those are
Yeah.
the core things I love to do. I also love to choose a meditation on Insight Timer that's the full
Mm,
moon activation
yeah.
and do that either in the evening or the next day or within a day or two. And then and because the people who are creating those are really in the moment with the energy,
Yes.
and they're bringing in things about astrology and all the the planets. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's so complex, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, give it all to me and let me just feel it. And then the last thing that I'll say, and I know there's one other thing I'm missing. Oh, sometimes I'll do a card pull that's specific for
Hmm.
full moon. What do I have to release? Like ask for the releasing. But generally, I pull cards every day, so I'm still just using my spirit show me the way.
So do you typically frame working with the full moon as this opportunity to begin this release process then?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
do. I do. So with the intention of the crystals out to release anything, make room for new, allow space, charge
Hmm.
up. The water is to transform any stories that I'm holding on to that I need to let go of.
Yeah.
And the prayers are typically about helping me release. It's the same thing, release so that I can
Yeah.
open. And then lastly, I do full moon gelato. So I'll always try to go to the beach to watch it if I
Uh-huh.
can.
Yeah.
We have a great Italian gelato place down on Sullivan's Island called Blackbeard's. And
So
I
great.
love going there and getting a little gelato and going to watch it. So
Oh,
that's our like little family ritual, which I love.
oh,
So these things like shift and
yeah.
transform, but the moon always rises and the
Mm,
moon's always there as a reminder. So when these rituals go away, the anchor is still there in my
yeah.
mind, for me to see, which is really the most powerful aspect. So strip everything out, simply acknowledging that the moon has become full
Yeah.
is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is once in a while I get confused. Am I releasing or am I giving birth to something? It's like
Well,
I don't like sometimes I literally have the moment of like, you know?
yeah, I mean, I think that that's what I maybe have been feeling into is that we can work with the full moon in multiple ways because there is the energy of the full moon to me is about like magnifying. just standing under the full moon, and I often add fire element. I love fire, and as an
Yes.
Aries, I'm a fire girl, and so I love building a fire. I have a couple little spots in the yard that I have fires, and just to stand under the full moon and
Mm,
almost have a conversation with the moon and put in my intentions into the fire and send them up to the moon to receive. One of my teachers, the moon was grandmother moon, and this
mm,
like loving embrace of the moon's light. I mean,
yes.
it's
It's
so,
we are receiving. We a
yeah,
time where it's releasing,
yep,
but the light, yes,
yeah,
absolutely penetrating everything
yeah.
right through us.
It is this otherworldly moment, or this like hyper worldly moment that
Yeah, right.
you get to live on this planet with this moon reflecting the sun's light, and you're just completely mesmerized. There's
Isn't
something,
it
yeah.
interesting that it really does move us all? So what other rituals do you have or have you experienced that are like core? Like what do you say you always do?
I don't think there's an always. I think that's an Amy trend. Like,
Hmm.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think,
Always something new.
right. There you go. It's always something different. I have to reinvent the wheel every time. But, actually, my moon ritual started probably 25 years ago with a friend of mine, and she was really into the moon and the earth honoring traditions. And that was my first exposure to some of the ancient Celtic holidays or feast days. And so we used to get together and celebrate some of those. And I remember that one time I think my mom was out of town, and she lived in this little cottage on this beautiful farm. And so I invited my friend over, and so I'm like, yeah, let's do some rituals like for the full moon. So the owners of the farm had a canoe. So like probably 11 o'clock at night, we go out on this canoe with our crystals, and I remember infusing my crystals with intentions. I don't remember what they were, but my guess is if I was 24, I probably wanted to find my partner in love.
Love of your life, right?
Yeah. I didn't care much about anything else in my early 20s. Like, I just want to find a boyfriend and a husband.
Right.
I don't know that I put it quite like that. I, I went to all girls school, so we were indoctrinated in a very beautiful way with this
Yes.
feminist,
Yes. You
amazing
want a
feminist
partner,
ideals.
right?
Yeah, yeah. But nonetheless, like,
Yeah.
early 20s, obsessed with love. So I'm sure it had something to do with that. And we just were on this canoe, and the mist started to rise out of the pond, and you're just under this full moon in the water. So that connection of water and the full moon, I think, has always been there. And then when I started to really get into crystals, I too went through I have to take all, now I have too many. It would take me 4
I
hours,
know.
I think, to take all my
Same.
crystals outside. I did. Like, I would get a beautiful, because I came from the event and floral design world. So I had all these props. So I had a bunch of
Ugh.
silver platters, like big
Oh
round
my God.
silver platters that looked like the moon, right? So I put
Ugh.
my crystals on those, and I
Ugh.
take them outside. And it was this time for myself. And like, I keep saying this over and over again, and I'm sure it's going to come up every single episode, but there's something about these spiritual practices, and I'm not even sure I would have even called them spiritual practices when I was first starting to do these rituals, but
Mhm.
the sense of aliveness and that like giddiness and that mystery and that curiosity and that expansive state that you
Yes.
get in when you're doing these rituals, and when you're connecting to, I just think like that ancient part of ourselves, that
Yes.
we all had ancestors that lived in rhythm with nature and the moon and all of this. So
Mm.
I think it just makes you remember that
Yeah.
part of you.
The
And
depth.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it awakens something that makes you feel really connected to something way beyond, I think, our even human comprehension. You're just like,
Yeah.
this is so wild.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so yeah,
agree.
and I have a group of friends that we love going to the beach together. Or if one of us is at the beach and there's a moonrise, like we are just sending moonrise pictures back and forth. But
Yes. Yes.
um, but yeah, this I
We
did.
had a great experience with some friends going down under a full moon, and you have to be careful down here with the ocean because there's like a lot of sharks and stuff around. but there was definitely some bathing, some skinny dipping with
Uh-huh.
with the gals. Like this, so like free,
Yeah.
so feminine. What's the word? I'm like raw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you just some
Yep.
tribal
Yep.
feeling. Like you just
Yep.
have to do it. Like clothes just come off for
Yep.
some
I
reason.
totally instigated that. I mean, I warned them. I was like, we're going in the ocean, by the way. We'd all done it. It was a retreat, a women's retreat at the beach. And I was like, we're going in naked under the full moon in the ocean. And like my friends are like, yeah, we are. So we all headed down to the beach, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, maybe. And, we brought crystals and yeah, called in spirit and just had this like beautiful opening with clothes on. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
everybody was like, are we really gonna do this? And I was like, they were like, I don't know, the couple of them turned around. I think there were four of us who actually went in the ocean together and like they kind of turned around. I was like, I slipped down. I'm like, I'm going in. And so they're like,
That's
wait,
what I
wait,
did
wait.
too.
And it was the full moon of October, and we were in Delaware. And I think
So
we
that's
were
cold. Like October is not necessarily
You know,
warm.
the air temperature was actually in the probably 70s during the day because I went
Hmm.
and the water was still fairly warm. But when the air temp
Yeah.
and the water temp are so similar, you didn't experience it cold. It wasn't like,
Wow.
oh, like we all got in. And I remember it was just one of the most extraordinary experiences. And like I gathered everybody up and we were probably up into our waists. And it was a pretty calm night in the ocean. And we all just held hands and just bathed in this moonlight. And I just remember looking at everybody, all different ages, all different body types, ages and shapes, and we're holding hands in the ocean and looking up at the moon. And I just looked at everybody's bodies in the ocean, and there was no body shame. There was no, it was
Yeah.
just, I
Right.
could look
Right.
at my friends and appreciate us coming together in this way.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so sacred. Like, and
Yeah.
like
Yes.
any
Yes.
silliness that happened between the shore and the ocean was just like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I hope we don't get
Gone.
caught. Like we're going in
Yeah.
like, ah! Like we're in the ocean and like that all just melted away. And you realize how sacred female relationships are and how,
Oh,
we all have friend circles, but like when you have your female friends that you connect to in this deep spiritual way is such a sacred, sacred gift. So, um,
yeah.
yeah, like I getting naked in the moonlight, I do it at home all the time. That actually is one of
Yeah.
my rituals. And because my husband works at night, not that I wouldn't do it when he's here anyway, but like, we have
Right.
like
Right.
5 or 6 acres. Like you can't see another house from our house. Like we live in the country.
Yeah.
And like I'll go out and
Yeah.
bathe in the full moon. I'll just walk around naked and just let the
I
moon
love that.
soak into my skin. And it is
It's
really
just,
freeing.
yeah, it's healing and it's like, it's just, I think that's part of this releasing idea. Like it just strips us down
Yeah.
to the essence of who we are. And it wants us to find that essence in
Yeah.
ourselves. I've just learned like to use that cycle to remember who I am, to
Yeah.
remember who I want to be, to remember where I'm going, and that it's always there's always another chance for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I miss
Yep.
it, I don't beat myself up if I don't do my,
Yeah.
rituals. And I think that that's a whole other topic, but I think you can, if you really get too far down the path, are you forgetting what the ritual's about?
Right.
It's not about the ritual.
You're
Are you
so
connecting? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It made me think of this connection of the moon and the water, the myth of the Silkies,
Yes.
um, the seal women. Actually, I think
Yes.
they're both genders, but there's a particular story. And I think the version, I've read many versions of it and it's slightly different, but I think the one that I remember the best is probably from Women Who Run with the Wolves. I think she
Yes.
she tells that story.
Pinkola
Yeah,
Estes.
thank you.
Yes,
Estes,
she's
yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah. But that idea of, I think being naked under the moonlight is this idea of like stripping down. And it's so interesting, but I was thinking of so the story goes like this, that at the full moon, these seals, these silkies swim ashore. And for one night in the full moon, they strip their seal skins and they become human, and they dance and cavort on the shore in their human form. And one evening, while they were dancing under the full moon, a fisherman from the village comes down and sees them dancing. And there's this one who is just stunningly beautiful. And he's like, I need to make her my wife. So he sneaks in, steals her seal skin, because like at the end of their full moon cavorting, they slip back into their seal skins and go back into the ocean. So if they don't have their skin, they can't shapeshift back into their seal
Mhm.
form. So he steals the skin and convinces her, kind of in this like form of trickery, that she needs to become his wife. And she agrees, but doesn't realize that she's not going to be able to go back into her seal form. So she's kind of stuck in her human form. And so they have a child. And over the course of many moons, she gets sicker and sicker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And finally, she has a daughter. And finally, she tells her daughter the story, and the daughter's determined to go help her. And I think I have this right. I'll double check it and correct it later, but because I think the mother's too sick to go, so she goes and seeks out like the wise elder of the Selkies in the cave, and seeks guidance anyway, and then goes back and ends up finding, like, the fisherman had tucked away her skin somewhere, finds it for her mom, and her mom returns to
Mhm.
the ocean. But I think about this cycle, and it's interesting because the human form to me feels like our ego form. And like our egos are healthy, when we have a healthy ego, but it's
Mhm.
still, this human form can be more challenging and offers more opportunities for us to step out of our seal skins. And like in our seal form,
Mhm.
we live in the flow, we live in the cycle of nature. So it's this idea of coming back into our skin, and like this living in the ancient mother of the sea, like returning and being held by
Mm.
her and her wisdom, and knowing that this moon is pulling her cycles. And so like it's such a profound story. And to me, connecting to the moon is really about getting in touch with that ancient part of ourselves that wants to live in the flow, that wants to live in this like really deep connected way.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Her stories take me, and where I feel it so deeply is this. And she has a couple of other beautiful stories,
Mm,
like the
yeah.
woman whose bones rattle and all these, the bracelet, like these incredible stories. And that is such a good, all of her works are amazing. You should always read them and
Yeah.
listen to them. If you can listen to her, she's just unbelievable. And the recordings that she has, that story makes me think about my own timeline and my own life, and I think this is part of her teaching, is just helping women reconnect with those parts of themselves that have gotten lost, that have been taken, that have been hidden away,
And
and
shamed, not
and
only shamed,
shamed.
made dangerous. I mean,
Yes,
reclamation of our natural intuitive gifts of this womb, our ancient
yes,
feminine wisdom that is
yes.
connected to the moon and the ocean.
Exactly.
So,
And
yeah,
then to have, for me, I experienced the daughters coming into my life, and it it was when they were younger that I had those moments of like, whoa, who have I become?
right.
And I'm sick. I need to get back to
Yeah,
the seal, to the ocean. So I need help to do
yeah,
it,
yeah,
and finding that that again in myself is a journey I went on
yeah,
intentionally,
yeah,
and I'm so grateful for it. And that the moon rituals are a great reminder, like when I started coming back into the thought that, oh, I need to reconnect with myself, was when the
yeah,
rituals started for
yeah,
me too, because I was very disconnected. I was in a life that was was fine, and I was loved, and it was enjoyable, and for all the right reasons, and I had children, and but I lost sight of that ancient wisdom and those parts of me that are what's going to sustain me for the next 50 years.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
you know
Yeah,
so that story is a beautiful one.
I love that one. It
Yeah.
I'm realizing now that maybe there is a pattern. I love being naked in the full moon. So I did a 2-year spiral priestess training with my teacher, mentor, and beautiful friend Yukiko Amaya.
I just love her name, by the way. Every
Oh,
time you say it,
Yukiko
it's like
Amaya.
music. It's
Uh-huh.
so beautiful.
And there were 4 of us, sisters, who finished the 2-year spiral. There were a bunch who did the first year, and then there were just 4 of us who did the second year together. And we self-initiated as priestesses. We rented a house in West Virginia near the Serpent Mound, which would be a very fun conversation. Sacred sites, like we could talk
Hmm.
about the sacred sites we visited. But when we were there, I think I got naked a couple times, but one of them, everybody was asleep, and I went out, and the moon was rising off the back deck, and I went out and brought my yoga mat out there, took all my clothes off, and just sat in the moonlight and really looked at my body, like looked
Hmm.
at it. And I started with my feet, and I went through a whole process of blessing. Like it brings tears to my eyes because I hate
Hmm.
my body so much. And
Hmm.
it's something that I'm still like, I'm not sure if that piece will ever resolve itself in my lifetime, but I'm certainly making some
Hmm.
progress. And I certainly have cultivated a gratitude practice for my body. But I sat in the moonlight and looked at my feet and blessed my feet. And I looked at my legs. And I actually took photos of my breasts in the moonlight and just went like,
Wow.
wow, like this is part of my sacred femininity, like my
Yes.
curves and my womb and my arms. And, so it was just this real intimate connection with my own body. And
Hmm.
just receiving her light and her love and
Receiving.
having that wisdom and all of the women that came before me in my lineage, and like recognizing that and the gifts in my body. And it was
Hmm.
profound, it's very hard in a normal waking moment to not look at my
Yes.
arms and say, like, I have 51-year-old arms now, and I should be lifting weights, and I should be doing this, and I should get back to my yoga
Should,
practice,
should, should.
right?
Shoulding all over yourself. Yes.
Yep. And then versus sitting in the moonlight and really coming into your body and just saying, wow, these feet have taken me amazing places. Like this
Your
heart,
whole life.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
so like using this ritual of the light of the full
Mm,
moon
I love
to
that.
really come back home to
As a
yourself.
blessing.
Yeah.
That's that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I-
I think that's part of this idea of releasing anyway. Is like look at all the stuff we put on. Like we're just
yeah.
human bodies. Like we're
Yep.
we're born with nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And we're attached to another womb. Like there's no part of us that
Yeah.
isn't exposed at birth. And when we remember to shed all that stuff for a moment, it's so powerful. It's like this is me,
Yeah.
like this is, well, I mean we can go into a whole existential discussion on that, but
Yep.
this is me,
Yeah.
but this is my body, this is what I'm in, this is what is here to carry me through my life, this is the only thing I have. They can take everything else away from me,
Yeah.
and I just, this is all that's left. So why not nourish and treat with care and love and bless, and you know I think it's beautiful. And I think if more people treated themselves with that kind of compassion, it would really change so many people's mental health around this
Yeah.
stuff. It's just so, life is
And our
hard.
world. Yeah. I was like, if we can
Start to
take
work
care
on
of
us,
our,
change the world. Hmm.
yep. Yeah, for sure. It's part of this like radical self-acceptance anyway. Like um, yeah, the reason why I show up in my PJs is because like I am no makeup, and like I don't want to wear the mask, Like I would actually like to encourage people just to take off the mask for a certain amount of time a day
Yeah, yeah,
and just be who you are and let people see that. So
yeah.
I'm trying to lead by example, as hard as it is. It's hard for me to be on camera, and it's hard for me to
Me
see
too.
myself, and it's hard for me to hear my voice and like all of these things. And you don't realize until you put yourself in a situation where you're sharing yourself with the world in this way. Like it's like, here, I am very vulnerable. And then you start to realize how many things you do in a given day to be okay with yourself or be okay with
Yeah.
people seeing you that way. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. I want to,
Yeah.
I'm doing spiritual work, especially. I want to be comfortable, but
Yeah.
I don't want to show up and like look pretty so somebody can relate to me or, like, and that is great. Like for all of the people who do that work and love to do that and to put on the makeup and do their hair, like that is great. And I love that. For me, like I like to go do that, to go out to dinner, but to
Yeah.
really talk
I do it
about,
once a week for like some
yeah,
external meeting. Like my daughter has her high school graduation planning meeting and stuff. So, okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
take a shower.
yeah. But I mean, like,
But
I love to go put on cute clothes and go out to dinner. And, like, I feel
yeah,
good that way. But I also really want to practice feeling good in whatever way I show up as. So,
yeah. Well, it's interesting because my youngest daughter now, if like my oldest has orchestra, so we'll have an orchestra concert, right? And I wear leggings every day. If if I get dressed up to go to the orchestra concert, my youngest says, why don't you just put your leggings back on? And I'm like, what? I have jeans on. She's like,
yeah. Ooh.
why?
Oh my gosh.
What are you doing? That's not you. Just put your just wear your
Right.
leggings. And
Oh my gosh. You're like,
I'm
oh,
like, wow. I'm like, she's 12, and
yeah.
she doesn't want me to pretend.
Right.
And I'm like, well, is putting on jeans pretending? I'm like, maybe it is now.
I wear my
And
PJs
yeah,
pretty much every day. Like I work from home and do a lot of remote
yeah,
sessions and I do them over the phone and not on Zoom intentionally
same. Yeah.
because I'm like, I don't want to have to get dressed. Why I feel the need to get dressed, that's my own inner work.
My
But
own thing. Yeah.
so don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I like cute clothes too, and I like to feel girly. I still like that part of myself, but like, as an everyday thing, I just want to be okay without doing any of that.
Well, and I think that's like bringing it back to the Silky story. It's, you know, for 25 years working in marketing, I used to get decked out for work, high-end clothing, heels, blazers, hair done, makeup every day. Like my kids don't know that version
Yeah.
of me, like
Yeah.
that is an old version of me that was highly
Right.
self-protecting,
Yep.
that was like fiercely protected.
Yeah.
And I think back and did I look good? Yeah. Did I feel good? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know now that me was like a 1/1000th of the person I
Yeah.
really was.
Right.
It was
It's
just
just,
a mask. It was just a
yep.
front. It was just a face, and it worked for the environment I was in.
Yeah.
I played the
Yeah.
game, but that's
It's
it's not me.
exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting, really. I
It
mean,
was
yeah. And so like keep up
mentally,
all the
emotionally, financially.
physically. Yep. Yeah. So
I
to
mean,
let
what
that
the money I
go.
spent on all that? It's uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
outrageous. It really was just an experience and a time, and I went through it a certain way, and I don't know. It's just wild to me.
To bring it back home to the
Hmm.
focus card, like think about focusing all of your energy on looking and acting okay, right? To play in a world that you don't want to really be
Yeah.
in, to be accepted by people that you probably don't even care if you're accepted by them, like
Yeah.
all of those external things that we do. So to me, these full moon rituals bring the focus back to what really matters. And that is like who we are as these spiritual beings who really
Mhm.
want to love and connect and experience the world as the magical place that it is. So how do you want to
And
show
then focus your
up
thoughts there.
there?
Focus those thoughts there.
I used to spend a lot of time cultivating an image, or I can spend an hour saying, okay, Amy, like what really matters to you today? And
Cultivating inner peace.
yep.
Yes.
And
There's a big difference there in choice.
and deep relationship with myself and with other people, deep relationship with the earth,
Mhm.
like all of that. So that's a better place for me to put my
Yes.
focus. Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
So I was feeling like we could set up a little ritual for people to connect with the full moon. I was
I
thinking
think
maybe I can just lead us back into our hearts and invite in the elements and the full moon, and then you can read your prayer, and then
sure.
Does that sound, does that
Sounds
sound
great.
good?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does. And then, yeah, if we have something that we post as ritual or ideas or little
Yeah.
checklists just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Well, we're gonna come back, bring our awareness back to ourselves, back to our bodies, feet on the floor, just starting to breathe in and feel your own heartbeat. And then drawing your awareness, feeling this water in your body. Our bodies are made up of almost 70% water. I think it's like 68%. So just feeling in to the water in your body. And the moon, just like she pulls on the oceans, pulls on the water in our bodies. So opening your awareness to the full moon energy, this beautiful, brilliant, white reflected light shining down on you. And starting to breathe with the moon, inhaling her light with each breath. Drawing her energy deep down to your toes and pulling it back up through your body, letting the moonlight start to pool up through your legs, to your knees, to your hips, your sacrum, your womb space, your belly, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. Feeling the moonlight filter down and drawing her back up. Feeling in to or inviting in all of the ancestors and all of the peoples that stood under the same moon and breathed her in. Breathed in her fullness and sensing into her cycles, knowing that the waning will fall into the new moon. We'll invite this waxing energy that's inviting in and back to the fullness. Each breath, a full cycle of the moon. Inviting in and waning, the waxing and waning of your breath. Each moment we have this opportunity to invite newness and to let go. And the moon is this beautiful reminder of this cycle of coming into your fullness, letting go, releasing, and inviting back in. And from this place of connection to the moon and her love and her cycles, I invite Kristen to read your prayer.
Spirit, support us individually and together as we strive to build a place of stillness that brings compassion and focus to our lives and the lives of those we touch. Let us awaken into deep knowing of ourselves and our soul's calling. Help us meet each moment with optimism, hope, truth, and curiosity. Bring us into balance, balance between intuition and thought, information and wisdom, action and patience, doing and being, community and self. Help us grow in equanimity, harmony, strength, and confidence. In this full moon, allow us to recenter, to receive beauty and love, to give and receive healing connection, and to release those patterns and relationships that are no longer for us. Spirit, what needs to release, let us release. What is to come, let us open and welcome. allowing for transformation and breakthrough. Spirit, allow flowing connection from the divine above and the earth below to inspire and support us during this time of growth and transition. Create a continuous flow of light that infuses us with love and compassion, allowing a container for loving exploration of new ways of being that result in vibrant, thriving, healthy, and joyous living. Let the flow of light infuse us with the strength of love so vast and great that pain and suffering are washed away and replaced with equanimity, love, gratitude, and joy. Every moment, every day, for always, in all ways. Aho.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I wanted to thank you for this container together with you. I mean, you thanked me in the start of the call, but to allow myself to be seen by you and to be held by you and in the presence of you, and what it does is a gift, to say the least.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are just
Thank
this
you.
incredibly grounding force, but also one that you're an antenna for spirit for me, like it's just
Aw,
it's
that's
a
so
gift
sweet.
to
Thank
be here with you.
you. I'm
Yeah,
getting a little teary. Thank you. That's so
thank
sweet.
you.
I appreciate you. I love this. I just
Me
love doing this. I mean, what?
I know. It just makes me feel so good. I thought I would pull one card to close.
Yes, I love
Um,
it.
one of my early connections to spirit was the Lady of Avalon, the myths of Avalon. And I feel the wisdom of Avalon and goddess and the Lady of the Lake and in my bones, but I still don't have a lot of academic knowledge of it all. But this
But
is,
when you talk about mists like
yeah,
rising, I am in there with you. Like
yeah.
I feel that from you. Like there's no
Yeah,
doubt.
it was an ancient, like for me, it was very much
Yes,
this ancient remembering. I'm like, oh,
yes.
this was a part of, I mean, I do have UK roots, so I
Interesting.
feel this soul connection to Avalon. And so this is Colette Baron Reed, Avalon Oracle. I love her. Her energy is infectious and
Yes.
she's such a trip. So I'm gonna pull one of these cards just to bring everything back home.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the
That's
Queen.
beautiful. Perfect.
And she is about fertility, feminine power, sexuality, and friendships.
I have goosebumps. Yes,
So I will read.
structure.
Um, Fertility, beauty, female sexuality, or female sexual energy, earthly pleasures, and friendships among women. The Queen summons you to bestow her gifts upon you so that you can revel in the beauty of life. The Queen appears to remind you of the importance of self-esteem, self-worth, holding your head high. Now is the time to set boundaries with others with gentle authority, yet try not to be isolated from them in the process. The Queen knows how to delegate authority when she needs to. Summon your inner queen and ask for what you need. The Queen also asks whether you're having fun. Maybe you need to read a good book with a cup of cocoa or coffee, go to a spa, or make plans with your pals. Look after yourself and remember to nurture your friendships. The Queen knows that she needs allies in the world to sustain her, and in return, she shares her wealth with you. And I think, I mean, that card just pretty
It
much
just sums up the
encapsulates.
whole podcast. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Thank you.
as usual, it's amazing to be here with you. And I want to thank everybody who's listening. We're really grateful for your participation in our coffee date together. And if you want to keep up with us on a day-to-day basis, join us on Instagram. We're doing mostly daily readings for you and also fun messages from Spirit. So Coffee Date with Spirit on Instagram.
Bye.
Bye. See you next time.
See you next time.
Come take a peek with me, I see another side.
Thanks for joining us. Until our next coffee date, may Spirit lead you into all the magic.
Another side. Hey.